Textile Gallery. We have today with us Cindy Grisdela. Cindy Grisdela is a well-known fiber artist here in the Washington, D.C. area, and she has hung her new exhibit here for the month. We'd love to have you take a look at it with us today. Cindy, would you like to tell us about some of the things you've created here?
Sure. These are some of my favorite pieces, and I've been over the last 2 or 3 years, and I'm really excited about improvisation. That's sort of my thing, and so they're all have some sort of improvisation, whether in design or concept or the stitching or something like that.
Excellent. Well, let's take a look.
Yeah. So this one is called Picasso's Chickens, and it's sort of just an improvisational block design, mainly using some traditional looking designs, but in a more contemporary way. And I put this together in the winter and spring of 2020.
So where do you draw your inspiration for your creations?
I'm a very sort of intuitive artist, so I love color, I love line, shape, and texture. Those are my sort of my go-to things that I think about when I'm creating. And this one was just basically lines and shapes. I cut into my fabrics and make my elements, and then I put them up on my design wall. I don't usually have any idea what I'm going to do with them until I start arranging and rearranging them on my design wall. So this is a more block-based design. Some of these others on this wall are more improvisational design that are not block-based. This one is called Aquarius. This is a favorite of mine. My idea for this one, I wanted to create this sort of central pod shape out of very warm colors so that it would come forward in the design. And that could be an abstract bird or a fish or something like that. And then these cooler colors seem to flow underneath it, like water or air. And this one has some very sort of dense, intricate free motion stitching in the different areas of the quilts. The thread matches the fabric behind it, so there's a lot of starting and stopping, but I love the texture that this one creates. And then over here, this one is called Kaleidoscope because I think you can probably understand where the name came from. It looks like one of those kaleidoscopes that you look in and you see all kinds of different shapes and designs being formed. This one is basically about the idea of large-scale freehand cut curves. I cut them using my rotary cutter as a design drawing tool with no patterns or templates. And then this one goes together in a little bit of a block format, but it has sort of an improvisational, wonky thought to it. This one here is called Confetti. This one was actually the original quilt that I made that inspired the other two that I just spoke about. I was trying to play with the idea of a traditional sort of bullseye quilt pattern, but do it improvisationally, do it in a more contemporary way. So I started out with these quarter circles in the center and built the composition out from there. So you can see perhaps these sort of arcs and spines and the confetti pops make their appearance in the Kaleidoscope and the Aquarius quilt as well. I also do, in addition to my large scale pieces, I do smaller scale pieces that are mounted on painted black canvas. So they hang on the wall just like a picture with a wire in the back. And these are pieces that I created this year actually. They're 12 by 12s. And they are, this concept of, I love curves, but they are in a more intimate format, and they have a more sort of minimalist tone or design to them. Just very simple shapes, very saturated, bright colors. Lots of fun to just sort of play with those lines and those shapes. This one on the bottom is called Little Gems, and it has some fairly intricate free motion stitching in it. The one on the top is called Slices, and I decided to stitch this one just with echoing lines with the sewing machine, so that it really focuses on sort of this intersection of line and shape. This one here is called Improv Garden. This was inspired by the flowers at my son's wedding last year. They were gorgeous, beautiful colors and shapes, and so I decided to do something abstract, so that these elements here look a little bit like flowers on the green background. It's just a memory for me of a really special day. And then finally, this one is called Emerging. This is a piece that I actually cut it up from a larger quilt, and I like this slice of it a lot better than the original piece. I call it Emerging because it kind of emerged out of this larger piece. And you also have these lighter areas here that seem to be sort of coming out, emerging from the darker areas around it. This one, in addition, has some pretty intense free motion stitching. These pebbles in this shape, some spirals, some fans, lots of my favorite textures and designs. Thank you.
Cindy, thank you so much for your lovely tour. You've got some beautiful things to enjoy, and I would encourage anybody in the Washington, D.C. area to come by the gallery in person to see these lovely works of art. Her artistry is really quite exquisite and can only be truly appreciated unless you get to see it for yourself. So please come by. We're here in McLean, Virginia. We're here 4 days a week, Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and we'd love to have you drop in. Thanks again for joining us today.
Thank you.